Right. I had this one in my notes to reference. It has a short BCYC reference in the beginning, and then the city attorney comes on and starts talking about rights and records request and limited public forum. And what they're doing is they're trying to limit the public's ability to redress their government. And this has been an ongoing problem. This is interesting. Tell me what you think. Here we go. It's a few minutes long, but go start with the city manager, O'Reilly.
As Mr. Gilbert spoke of, and
Cover up O'Reilly.
About the bcyc yacht club lease this afternoon, the city attorney and I received from the bcyc yacht club the lease that we had worked on with them last week.
Salzman.
Their board approved it, I guess last night, and hopefully city attorney and I will review it this week, and we'll place it on your agenda for May 16th.
All right. Thank you very much. City attorney.
City manager stole my BCYC.
Wow.
But yes, we have. We had a very good meeting. We were able to discuss a lot of the points that were brought out and to come to an agreement on
A secret
everything.
meeting. No one can know what was said in the meeting.
Approval. All right. So we will have that.
I've asked many times.
Hopefully, if possible, at your next meeting.
All right. Fantastic.
Excuse me, almost everything?
Yes.
It's a
everything.
year and a half with no lease.
Issue that will come before you as to the description of the property. We did not reach an agreement. We feel that we had received direction on what it should look like, and they feel it should look a little different.
Yeah, I get
and
what
that'll be the board. But other than that, all the other terms have been agreed to.
Okay. Great. I've got a question for you in the meantime. We've talked many times about with the issues that we've had with a city employee being run off the road after hours with the amounts of emails and the nature.
Shirley Debussy. It's coming to court on me.
Defamatory nature
Perjury.
of these emails.
I have a witness.
I'd like to push for enforcing that in a particular case, and I'm not going to say the person's name right now, but I'd really like to push for that enforcement in whatever way that we can, because we've gone too far. Once people are receiving phone calls at their home on the weekends, when people are being harassed off site, when people are receiving a number of emails that are well outside the norm of somebody who can communicate their thoughts and make requests. At some point, we've got to push back on that. We said we were going to, so whatever we need to do, I'd like to move in that direction. And that goes going forward as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for those of you that were at the volunteer luncheon the other day, we had one of our folks that's been to this meeting and used the N-word, standing here at the microphone, was down there cussing and hollering at people who were volunteering their time for a charitable cause. And I think allowing this to progress is just going to invite more of it. So I'd really like to put our foot down hard when it comes to people abusing.
Her husband uses the N-word in the newspaper.
Meet with the chief as to one aspect. The city clerk, we've talked briefly about it to get a standardized response.
Newspaper.
Because I think we're getting requests to all different areas, and I'm talking about the public records throughout the city, and we need to just have one standard response, which is the law says we've received your public records request. We will get to it as soon as reasonable. When the city can't stop working on what it's doing just to respond to
Statutory says,
and then we'll follow all those provisions. So
it's written down by state law.
About that, and we will meet with the city manager and prepare that. So we have that standardized, which hopefully will help us.
He reviews all of the records requests.
We're very clear in our response.
All of them.
We can respond to public records requests, but we're not answering questions during a public records request. And I think there has to be a way to just be adamant about that. And if we have consistency in that, there are provisions that if individuals feel that we're not adhering to their public records requests, there's a conciliatory avenue they can pursue. But you are right. We've been dealing with behavior that has been very frustrating for the city to respond. I constantly look at seeing whether there's any new legislation or court rulings that would help, but they're still pretty open on those areas.
Public records, idiot.
We'll do that.
Because we've got, 99% of people being reasonable, have the ability to disagree, to maintain some kind of a decorum, to be respectful of the person they're talking to.
33 records requests for Chief Vincent, unanswered.
What I'll say is a very few bad
Ray
apples
Rodriguez,
that are, it's just flat out unkind.
Cover
it's
up.
Intrusive.
lying,
The tone is too
criminal,
Well, and
violation of state law, chapter 119.
Defamatory or profane.
Never.
Things along those lines. That may not be a public records request. That's just a rant that somebody's sending. And so those don't have to be looked at as public records requests. And we may end up in court with a judge, to show them.
My case?
We're requesting judge.
I'll be bringing all of my denied records, you morons.
So we can pursue that either through a declaratory action.
You didn't do
asking the
nothing.
court to look at these. They're supposed to actually be fairly quick hearings on those, because the provision of, if you're withholding public records, of course, supposed to make a decision relatively quickly on that. So we can bring that. And we'll
That
work
cost
on
me
those
money.
Okay.
So,
And my concern is because
Cover
the
up.
city manager said it many times, we have a responsibility to provide a safe work environment. And there are points where I feel like we need to push harder for that line, because the set of rules that we have to live by up here as elected officials is different than our
Give up
employees.
rights for safety.
Make sure that we're defending as hard as we can.
Give up rights for safety.
a proposed ordinance to you.
Fear mongering.
In the next, I'd say, couple months regarding safety issues.
Safety.
The issue with that is creating non-public forum areas inside city government areas.
J-Town Press was just talking to Chief Vincent about
The
that.
finance department, that individuals just can't come in and make threatening comments or feel that it's free speech, because that's if you declare it as a non-public forum, they don't have the right to do that. Obviously here, during
No
your meetings,
access to
always-
any government agents at this point.
and sidewalks are always a public forum when people protest. there
And
are
this
other
guy has
areas
gotten the
that-
city involved in my legal
But
10
that doesn't give people the right to
trespasses,
just
all
stop,
unlawful.
the city's ability to do their services, right?
No crimes committed.
That's something
Idiot.
we're going
Salzman.
prepared to bring to you. It's several of my clients.
I'll be bringing him.
Municipalities have already adopted those.
Sam, are you thinking more of
Sorry.
emails and stuff, or people in person?
No, I just use the examples of, the arrest that took place outside the volunteer luncheon and someone running one of our employees off the road.
That's a lie.
More in per-
That's a lie.
The emails I'm talking about.
That's a lie.
I'm just using that as an example of the variety of unreasonable.
And there are different
actions
stages of
that
things we can do. But
It's going to
definitely
court.
the one with, unfortunately,
February
we hear about all
and
the time in the newspaper
March.
around the country, we're trying
get-
to make sure we protect everyone here.
Safety over rights.
As we spoke about last year, it's more than just, it is, Mayor, it's emails, it's verbal abuse of council members. I've been party to council members being verbally abused. I mean, it's just.
If they lie, if they're crooks,
there's a fine step between email.
they
or
thieve money,
verbal altercation or
bribery, taking from Boca Ciega Yacht Club. I can prove it.
that are- Put me in an awkward position.
Paul Ray.
Between, as we spoke of before, having the judge determine what's the employee's, my responsibility to protect the employee versus
Qualified immunity, you morons.
behavior that's coming from the outside.
And I do think there's a line between what we do as elected officials.
I need to find a lawyer that will go after qualified immunity personally after these people.
That we're expected to tolerate. It's part of the job up to a point. But for our regular day-to-day employees to feel like their
Covering up,
workplace is made toxic by people that
violating
just don't
laws,
understand how to treat another human being with any ounce of respect.
lie, hang up, disrespect, flipping the bird.
Even as elected officials, you're not subject to defamatory comments.
If it's not,
Just a defense
if it's the
order.
truth, it's not
On the
defamatory.
same token, there is more that is expected, maybe from criticism, but not defamation.
Okay.
And not allegations, of criminal activity or things along those
And
lines.
they're the-
So
I'll
you
prove
shouldn't
it.
Be subject to those situations.
All of them.
And that's when you can either have somebody removed from being at a public meeting if they won't cooperate.
Listen to this clown.
Ultimately, other discussions and things that can be done.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I didn't speak at this one, but
City clerk's report.
I wrote
No
that.
report, Mayor.
All right. That brings us to our consent agenda.
It was an interesting one. I'll post it.